and today we'll be performing a cutting of
Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. One afternoon in June, when Wilbur was almost 2 months old, he wandered out into a small yard outside the barn. Fern had not arrived for her usual visit. Wilbur stood in the sun, feeling lonely and bored.
There's never anything to do around here,
He thought. He walked slowly to his food trough and sniffed to see if anything had been overlooked at lunch. He found a small strip of potato skin and ate it. His back itched, so he leaned against the fence and rubbed against the boards. When he tired of this, he walked indoors, climbed to the top of the manure pile, and sat down. He didn't feel like going to sleep. He didn't feel like digging. He was tired of standing still, tired of lying down.
I'm less than 2 months old, and I'm tired of living.
He said. He walked out to the yard again.
When I'm out here,
He said.
there's no place to go but in. When I'm indoors, there's no place to go but out in the yard.
That's where you're wrong, my friend.
Said a voice. Wilbur looked through the fence and saw the goose standing there.
You don't have to stay in that dirty little yard. One of the boards is push on it, push on it, and come on out.
What? Say it slower.
At the risk of repeating myself, I suggest that you come on out. It's wonderful out here.
Did you say a board was loose?
That I did.
Wilbur walked up to the fence and saw that the goose was right. One board was loose. He put his head down, shut his eyes, and pushed. The board gave way. In a minute, he had squeezed through the fence and was standing in the long grass outside his yard. The goose chuckled.
How's it gonna be free?
I like it. That is, I guess I like it.
Actually, Wilbur felt weird to be outside his fence, with nothing between him and the big world.
Where do you think I better go?
Anywhere you like,
Said the goose.
Go down to the orchard, root up the sod, go down to the garden, dig up the radishes, root up everything. Eat grass, look for corn, look for oats, run all over, skip and dance, trim and praise, go down to the orchard and stroll in the woods. The world is a wonderful place when you're young.
I can see that.
Replied Wilbur. He gave a jump in the air, twirled, ran a few steps, stopped, looked all around, sniffed the smells of afternoon, and then set off walking down through the orchard. Pausing in the shade of an apple tree, he put his strong snout into the ground and began pushing, digging, and rooting. He felt very happy. He had plowed up quite a piece of ground before anyone noticed him. Mrs. Zuckerman was the first to see him. She saw him from the kitchen window, and she immediately shouted for the men.
Homer!
She cried.
Pigs out! Larvae! Pigs out! Homer! Larvae! Pigs out! He's down there under that apple tree!
Now the trouble starts.
Thought Wilbur.
Now I'll catch it.
The goose drove a racket, and she too started hollering.
Run or not downhill! Back for the woods! They'll never catch you in the woods!
The Cocker Spaniel heard the commotion, and she ran out from the barn to join the chase. Mr. Zuckerman heard, and he came out from the machine shed where he was mending a tool.
Larvae, the hired man, heard the noise and came up from the asparagus patch where he was pulling weeds. Everybody walked toward Wilbur, and Wilbur didn't know what to do. The woods seemed a long way off, and anyway, he had never been down there in the woods and wasn't sure he would like it.
Get around behind him, Larvae,
Said Mr. Zuckerman.
and drive him towards the barn. And take it easy. Don't rush him. I'll go get a bucket of slops.
The news of Wilbur's escape spread rapidly among the animals on the place. Whenever any creature broke loose on Zuckerman's farm, the event was of great interest to the others. The goose shouted to the nearest cow,
Wilbur is free!
and soon all the cows knew. Then one of the cows told one of the sheep.
Wilbur is free.
And soon all the sheep knew. The lambs learned about it from their father.
Wilbur is free!
didn't know what to do or which way to run. It seemed as though everybody was after him.
If this is what it's like to be free,
He thought,
I believe I'd rather be penned up in my own yard.
The Cocker Spaniel was sneaking up on him from one side. Lurpy, the hired man, was sneaking up on him from the other side. Mrs. Zuckerman stood ready to head him off if he started for the garden, and now Mr. Zuckerman was coming down toward him carrying a pail.
This is really awful. Why doesn't Fern come?
He began to cry.
the goose took command and began to give orders.
Don't just stand there, Wilbur. Dodge about,
Cried the goose.
Skip around, run towards me, slip in and out and out and out. Make for the woods, twist and turn.
Cocker Spaniel sprang for Wilbur's hind leg. Wilbur jumped and ran. Lurby reached out and back. Mrs. Zuckerman screamed at Lurby.
Lurby! The goose!
Cheer for
Wilbur! Wilbur dodged between Lurby's legs. Lurby missed Wilbur and grabbed the spaniel instead.
Nicely done.
Cried the goose.
Try it again. Try it again.
Run downhill.
Suggested the cows.
run towards me.
Yelled the gander.
Run uphill.
Ride the sheep. Twist and twist, huh? Honk
The goose.
Jump and dance.
Said the rooster.
Look out for Lurby.
Called the cows.
Look out for Zuckerman.
Yelled the gander.
Watch out for the dog.
Cried the sheep. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Screamed the goose. Poor Wilbur was dazed and frightened by this hullabaloo. He didn't like being the center of all this fuss. He tried to follow the instructions his friends were giving him, but he couldn't run downhill and uphill at the same time. And he couldn't turn and twist when he was jumping and dancing. And he was crying so hard he could barely see anything that was happening. After all, Wilbur was a very young pig. Not much more than a baby, really. He wished Fern were there to take him in her arms and comfort him. When he looked up and saw Mr. Zuckerman standing quite close to him, holding a pail of warm slops, he felt relieved. He lifted his nose and sniffed. The smell was delicious. Warm milk, potato skins, wheat middlings, Kellogg's cornflakes, and a popover left from the Zuckerman's breakfast.
Pig, pig,
Said Mr. Zuckerman, tapping the pail.
pig, pig.
Wilbur took a step toward the pail.
No! It's the old pail trick, Wilbur. Don't fall for it. He's trying to lure you back into captivity. He's appealing to your stomach.
Wilbur didn't care. The food smelled appetizing. He took another step toward the pail.
Pig, pig.
Said Mr. Zuckerman in a kind voice, and began walking slowly toward the barnyard, looking all about him innocently, as if he didn't know that a little pig was following along behind him.
You'll be sorry.
Cried the goose. Wilbur didn't care. He kept walking toward the pail of slops.
You'll miss your freedom.
Honked the goose.
An hour of freedom is worth a barrel of slops.
Wilbur didn't care. When Mr. Zuckerman reached the pig pen, he climbed over the fence and poured the slops into the trough. Then he pulled the loose board away from the fence so that there was a wide hole for Wilbur to walk through.
Reconsider.
Cried the goose. Wilbur paid no attention. He stepped through the fence into his yard. He walked to the trough and took a long drink of slops, sucking in the milk hungrily and chewing the popover. It was good to be home again. While Wilbur ate, Lurby fetched a hammer and some 8-penny nails and nailed the board in place. Then he and Mr. Zuckerman leaned lazily on the fence, and Mr. Zuckerman scratched Wilbur's back with a stick.
He's quite a pig.
Said Lurby.
Yes, you make a good pig.
Said
Mr. Zuckerman. Wilbur heard the words of praise. He felt the warm milk inside his stomach. He felt the pleasant rubbing of the stick along his itchy back. He felt peaceful and happy and sleepy. This had been a tiring afternoon. It was still only about 4 o'clock, but Wilbur was ready for bed.
I'm really too young to go out into the world alone.
He thought as he lay